So we'll start the class now. Today the topic is immunology. There will be two parts. The next class will be the part 2. Today will be part 1. Immunology means study of immunity, okay, or immune system of our body. Today there are no MCQs, so don't worry. Today we will be learning what is immunity, what are the parts of the immunity, what is the role of immunity, different types of immunity, innate and adaptive immunity. Then we will learn about humoral and cell-mediated immunity. We will learn the basic mechanism of an immune response. Let's start with what the immune system is. So immune system is a complex of cells, of tissues, of proteins and chemicals that play a part in protecting the body from infectious agents as well as abnormal cells. So remember this, our immune system, we all know, protects us from germs and parasites and bacteria and all of that, but it also protects us from abnormal cells. What are the abnormal cells in the body? Tumor cells. You know tumor cells, right? You know cancer. So tumor cells, so our defense mechanism of our body is not only protecting us from the germs and obvious dangers, it is also protecting us from tumor cells because our body develops tumor every now and then, and you will study more about it in mutation, in genetics. But for now, understand that there are tumors in the body that the immune system takes care of, and it is so good in doing that we don't even realize that we are exposed to these tumors, that our body is developing those tumors and our immune system is taking care of that. You're all here in this room and we are in a closed, compact room. The windows are closed. AC is not on, but during the summers, AC is also on. The door is closed. We are in one place and so many of us are exposed to, we do not know how many germs there are in this room, right? How many viruses, bacteria on the surface of your table, on the books that you use, on the mic that I have, everywhere. But do we all get sick every time we leave the room? No, right? We don't get sick because our immune system is good in doing its job. Now this immune system also is able to distinguish between self and non-self. What does it mean? See, I have, for example, an RBC. I have RBC, right? Red blood cell. You have your own RBC. But if one of you were to donate your RBC to me, although they are both RBCs, my body is going to reject that RBC because the immune system is going to reject it because it is able to realize its own RBC. Although the immune system knows that this is an RBC, but it knows that this is not of this body that I work for. This is called self and non-self. The immune system is able to distinguish between them. That's why we cannot just transfuse someone's blood into our own blood, or organ transplantation cannot be just easily done. It also contributes to repair and resolution of damage and retains memory to respond better in future. So it is helping in the repair whenever there's an injury. It is helping in resolution of the damage, as well as it has a memory to respond better in future. Our immune system has a memory. We will go into it in details in the next few slides, but it remembers what it encounters. These are the components of immune system. Over here, these are the RBC, red blood cells. This is the WBC, or the white blood cell, or what is the other name of white blood cell? Leukocytes. So we will talk leukocytes. Leukocytes, these are dendritic cells. This is a thymus gland, and this is the spleen. Some parts of the immune system. Now, when we talk about the components of immune system, we have cells and we have tissues and organs. So under cells we have leukocytes or WBCs, we have dendritic cells and macrophages. These are just types of cells. Under lymphoid organs we have primary or central and secondary or peripheral. So primary may we have bone marrow and thymus, which is an organ near the sternal border, near the clavicle. Secondary or peripheral, we have organs like spleen and lymph nodes. Then there are things called MALT, which is mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. What is mucosa? The outer layer. See, the inside of your mouth is different than the outside of your mouth, right? So this mucosa layer is there on every organ. It is there on every tract that we have in our body, starting from the oral pharyngeal tract to respiratory tract to genitourinary tract and GIT as well. It is everywhere. So the mucosa, there are lymphoid tissues in it, which are, so what are lymphoid tissue again? Lymphoid tissues are the tissues that are they have an important role to play in immune system. They are everywhere in the body. You will learn about lymphatics and their drainage, I think, better in anatomy. So just understand that it is there. Starting from the adenoids to tonsils to everywhere, they are present everywhere. So anything that is related, these lymphatic tissue that are present in the mucosa, they are known as MALT. Then there is something called GALT or gut associated lymphoid tissue. So lymphoid tissues that are present in the GI tract are known as GALT. There are other systems also, like cutaneous or conjunctiva associated lymphoid tissue. Then there are cutaneous associated lymphoid tissue, skin associated lymphoid tissue. They're just everywhere. You don't have to remember everything, but just understand that it is there. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is the starting from our throat, the tonsils. Then there will be adenoids on the upper part of your tonsil, the superior part. You will not be able to see it unless your adenoids are infected, and they will be swollen. In children, you will be able to see that. So adenoids, tonsils, then lymph vessels, lymph nodes everywhere in the body. They are spread like this. There are axillary lymph nodes. There are lymph nodes on our neck. There are inguinal lymph nodes. All of them. Then spleen. Spleen is an organ right behind the stomach. Thymus. Do you have thymus with you now? How many of you have thymus? None of you? Because thymus is there at birth, but it shrinks when you reach your puberty. And by the time you're 18, it shrinks and it is just removed, and a fatty tissue takes the place. So all of us, most of you will not have thymus with you. Thymus does its job of producing lymphocytes, and then it shrinks and it dies. Okay, and those lymphocytes or those will produce those WBCs will then work for the rest of your life. Apart from these cells and lymphoid tissue, we also have some certain proteins called MHC proteins. Then we have a system called complement system, and then we have other chemicals like cytokines. We'll go through all of them one by one. So the basic types of immunity are two: innate immunity and adaptive immunity. Innate immunity, as you can make out from the name itself, innate means it's within ourselves. So innate immunity is the immunity that is present at birth. Okay, the baby, when they are born with this immunity. Adaptive immunity is the immunity that develops over time with the exposure to whatever that is outside of the body. Innate immunity is the body's first line of defense. Like the first line of defense for the country is? What is the first line of defense in the border? BSF, right? Something like that. So this is what they will first, any dust particle, any germs, they will first face the innate immunity, and they are present at birth. The response of this immunity is very rapid, from minutes to hours. It acts very quickly. It is non-specific, which means that this part of immune system will not recognize a parasite different from the other parasite. So if a dust comes, or if a pollutant is there, or if it is a bacteria, or whatever it may be, the response to it will be same. And re-exposure to the same parasite will have the same response. It does not remember that I have seen this parasite before. It is not specific. So the response is same for everything that it defends our body from. It has no immunological memory. You will understand it better when I go to adaptive immunity. Now, innate immunity has components as well. So first will be physical barriers like the skin, mucous membrane, and cilia. Then we have chemical barriers like tears and saliva and the gastric low pH of the gastric mucosa. Then we have cellular defense. So these are the cells that are responsible for innate immunity, like neutrophils, macrophages, dendritic cells, and NK cells. NK cells means natural killer cells. Okay, very fantastic name. Then we have other proteins like complement proteins, cytokines, acute phase proteins, etc. This barrier system will physically stop the pollutants or dust or viruses and whatever from entering into the body. That's why they are the BSF of the body. So the skin is tough and it is keratinized and has a slightly acidic surface. You see, you are having all these tables on which you're putting your hand into, right? You're shaking each other's hand. But yes, there are sometimes the disease spread through that as well. But we don't get sick as often. This table, if you see it under microscope, if you take a sample of it and then you see it under microscope, the bacteria will grow. You will see how many bacteria and viruses are there on the surface. But we don't get sick often because our skin is keratinized, means it has keratin. Keratin is the protein that we have seen. It's the fibrous protein that is present on our nails, on hair, and then on the skin. This is tough to get through. Okay, because of that reason, many of these pathogens will not be entering our body. We don't even realize we're exposed to them because we don't get sick. Mucous membrane that lines our lower respiratory tract, GI tract, urogenital tract. It produces mucus and it physically stops these bacteria from entering the body or further into the body. Then tears, saliva and nasal hair, they flush out microbes. They are very important. The hair that is present in our nostrils and ears, they are important because they stop the dust particles from entering, bacteria and everything from entering. But some people would be so eager to take out all this hair in a hair removal. Don't remove that, it is very important. It's a part of the defense mechanism of the body. Apart from physical barriers, we have chemical barriers. Chemicals will be the enzymes that are present in the tears and the saliva. So they are responsible for breaking the bacterial cell wall. The walls of the bacteria, when it gets broken down, the bacteria dies. So tears are also very strong. The gastric acid, hydrochloric acid, has an average of pH 2, which is highly acidic and kills most of the microbes that come in contact with it. So that also serves as a chemical barrier. Fatty acids in skin will act as antimicrobial. Then there are defensins and catalysidins, which also have antimicrobial properties. They are certain peptides that are present in the body. Lactoferrin is present in the mother's milk, and that helps also limit the microbial growth. That's why babies, newborn babies are supposed to get mother's milk as much as possible. Formula milk will not have antibodies in them and these things in them, but the nutritional quality will be good in formula milk as well. So as much as possible, it is always recommended to breastfeed the baby. Cytokines. We have talked about cells, we have talked about tissues, we have talked about chemicals. These are some chemicals or some proteins that act as a signal molecule by the immune cells. There are many cytokines and you will read about them better in the next year that you will go into microbiology and pathology. So we will just go through that, just the names. There are interleukins, tumor necrosis factor and interferons. There will be different types of interleukins, IL-1, IL-2, IL-3, TNF alpha, TNF beta, TNF gamma, then interferon gamma, interferon beta, etc. All of them have a role to play in the immune system. Some of them have a role to play against viruses. Some of them cause apoptosis or program cell death. Some of them are involved in allergic reactions. Some of them will be involved in killing tumor cells. Some of them are involved in inflammation. So we have talked about cytokines. Now we'll talk about complement system. You will deal with it properly in second year. But for now, just remember that it has a lot of plasma cells in it. Okay, this is a cascade of more than 30 plasma proteins. So the proteins that are released by the plasma cells, they combine together and they form a system called complement system. So what this complement system does, it causes opsonization. Opsonization means it just a coating or a marking or the marking of the infected cell or the infectious agents in the body. My pathologists used to tell me, give an example, that How many of you like samosa? Only some of you. Okay, fine. I'll still give the example of samosa. So we take samosa. If I were to give you, if you like samosa, you'll be happy with that samosa, right? But if I were to coat that samosa with extra sauce or something on top of it that will make it look even better or palatable, you will be able to recognize it even from far away, right? Something like that happens in opsonization. Complement system will opsonize, meaning they will mark these cells which are to die. Okay, there are certain infected cells in our body, certain viruses, certain bacteria or their products that will be marked by immune system, like you see over here, C3A, C5A. These are used in opsonization. So these things will go and get attached to those particles and mark them, like samosa is marked with sauce. And then they will present it to the other immune cells which will be able to recognize it better and destroy them. This is called opsonization. It enhances phagocytosis, killing of the cells. Then it is also involved in membrane attack complex. So these are the complexes that makes holes or pores inside the cells. It can be your own cell, it can be a bacterial cell wall as well. So this is your own cell, meaning infected cell. So these bacteria, viruses enter into the cell, they start using the machinery of the body of our own cell to make their products. So this is how they function. So when the body recognizes or the immune system recognizes that this cell is no longer useful for us because it's infected, it's going to kill it. It will kill it through the membrane attack complex. It will make holes into those cells and kill the cell. Inflammation. Inflammation, you know, if you have a mosquito bite, you all had mosquito bites, right? How many of you had bee stings? Oh, quite a few of you. Good experience, right? What happens when there is a bee sting? Immediately. Pain? What else? Swelling. What else? There will be swelling, there will be pain, it will be red in color, right? So these are signs of inflammation. This is not infection, right? So this complement system, it happens. Why there is swelling and pain and there's redness and all of that thing? It happens because of this complement system that gets activated. Okay, this is triggered by any parasite or any pathogen. Then we come to adaptive immunity. So now adaptive immunity obviously is the second line of defense. It is antigen specific. What is antigen? Anything that the immune system, our immune system regards as non-self. Anything that is outside of the body, that is not inside, that doesn't belong to our body, are called antigen. This antigen does not mean that it is just virus and bacteria, okay? Antigens can be pollutants, it can be dust, it can be carbohydrate, lipids, proteins, a part of the virus, a part of any parasite, okay? This anything that is not of the immune system is an antigen. So it is antigen specific, which means that there will be the immune response to a particular antigen will differ. Say if the immune system is encountering a dust particle, the response will be different. That will be specific to that dust particle. Now a virus comes, this immune system, adaptive immune system, will have a different reaction to that virus particle. Then the bacteria comes, it will have a different, so this is antigen specific. It is specific, the response of the immune system is not same, unlike innate immunity. Innate immunity ka ek hi reaction, it will give the same reaction for everybody. This one will have specific reaction for each specific antigen that it encounters. Activities have exposure to a specific pathogen. That's why it develops after birth, right? Over the years, because it has to first encounter those particles or those whatever toxins that are outside, and then it will develop a response to them. Therefore, it is slower to mount initial response. The innate response was much quicker. It has a memory to respond faster on re-exposure. It remembers what happened. How many of you had heartbreaks? How many of you had heartbreaks? See, I'm not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend only, okay? I'm talking about friendships that break. I had a friendship break when I was your age. How many of you had trauma? How many of you had a bad relationship with, let's say, a family or relatives or friends or neighbors, right? Some of us had, right? Yeah. You remember that, right? If that person or group of people come back to you now, they want to be in your life, will you let them? No, right? Why? Because you remember what happened. You remember the pain it caused, remember the hurt, remember the injury it has caused to yourself and to your self-esteem, right? The same way, immune system also remembers. What immune system? Adaptive immunity remembers it. Remembers that the last time this virus had come, I had obviously encountered that and I had given my response. But if the same virus or a similar virus comes the next time, I'm going to have an army of behind me, and I will have a better response to that and a bigger response to that. This is what adaptive immunity does. It has memory. Memory cells are produced. We'll see it later. Like the components of the innate system, we have the components of adaptive immunity as well, like B lymphocyte. What is a lymphocyte? It is a type of WBC. So B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes and APCs or antigen presenting cells. These are part of the adaptive immunity. B lymphocytes will make antibodies. T lymphocytes will have CD4 and CD8 cells, and antigen presenting cells like macrophages and dendritic cells. Their main function is to present the antigen to the T cells. Just to remind you, we have WBC or leukocytes. Tell me the names. Do you remember the names? Let's start with neutrophils. Eosinophil, okay. Basophil. Lymphocytes. What else is remaining? Monocytes. Okay. These monocytes will later make macrophages that we keep talking about. These are huge cells. Now these lymphocytes are differentiated into T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. Good. What this slide is saying is that these B lymphocytes will make antibodies. It will make plasma cells, and plasma cells will release antibodies. Antibodies are the proteins that are released against any antigen that you see. T lymphocytes will be helper T cells, then cytotoxic T cells, and we have T regulatory cells. So we are not bothered about regulatory cell, we are bothered only about the helper T cells and the cytotoxic T cells. Helper T cells, CD4 cells and CD8 cells are called cytotoxic T cells basically. This is the system of the adaptive immunity. Now these both systems, adaptive and innate immunity, have to work together. Think of them as our healthcare system, where the PHC, CHC, and then we have the tertiary hospital. The PHC or the primary health center and the CHCs, they are the ones responsible to work at the ground level, right? They are the first physical barrier to these diseases. Imagine if the PHCs and CHCs are not working. So the tertiary hospital will have to bear the whole burden of that particular area or the particular state. That will be too much for the tertiary hospital to bear. Imagine if there was no tertiary hospital, the PHCs and CHCs themselves are not enough to take care of the health condition of the country or the state. In the same way, innate immunity and adaptive immunity have to work together. They have to work properly. See, if you have innate immunity properly working, but if you don't have adaptive immunity working properly, then that will be a problem. And we'll read about them maybe in the next class of different diseases that can happen because of the error in immune system. But anyway, understand that these two systems have to work and complement each other. They cannot be working against each other. This is the basic difference between the two. We have already read that the immunity is non-specific, memory is present in adaptive immunity. The innate immunity has a rapid response, and the cells that work in innate immunity, basic ones are neutrophils, NK cells, etc. B cells and T cells are the ones that are part of adaptive immunity. On repeat exposure, Innate immunity gives the same response. Adaptive immunity gives a stronger and a better response. Now, further going into adaptive immunity, there are two main types of adaptive immunity. One is humoral immunity, one is cell-mediated immunity. Now, humoral immunity means a defense against anything that is extracellular. Cell ke bahar jo hai, whatever pathogens are there, whatever antigens are there, it will take care of that. But once the pathogen is already entered inside of the cells, then we have the cell-mediated immunity that works against it through T cells. These are the main difference between the two. So we have humoral immunity where the main cells are B lymphocytes, and cell-mediated immunity is works through the T lymphocytes. Humoral immunity में antibodies produce होते हैं, and in cell-mediated immunity we have proteins like chemicals like cytokines and cytotoxic T cells mainly works there. It kills the cell directly. So the target is obviously extracellular organisms or pathogens. Cell-mediated immunity means intracellular pathogens. Now when I say pathogens, it doesn't only mean bacteria and viruses, it can also include tumor cells. Okay? So mostly tumor cells are killed by the cell-mediated immunity. Then let's talk about MHC. In the first 2-3 slides, we have talked about cytokines, cells, tissues. We have talked about complement system. Last part is the MHC or the major histocompatibility complex. Now, what are these actually? These are the cluster of genes which are responsible for immune response development as well as the discrimination between self and non-self. The first slide, our immune system is able to distinguish between what is inside of the body, what is ours and what is not ours, right? What is its own and what is not its own. This is done through this MHC molecules. Now these are, although MHC are a cluster of genes that are present on the chromosome number 6. And these genes will then get expressed in the form of proteins in the body. They will produce proteins which are called MHC proteins. There are 4 classes, but we are bothered only about 1 and 2. So MHC1 is expressed on all nucleated cell. Is a mature RBC nucleated? Does a mature RBC have nucleus? No. Reticulocytes or the immature RBCs have nucleus, but the mature RBC do not have nucleus. So RBC does not have MHC1, okay? But every other cell that has a nucleus in it will have MHC1 expressed on the surface of those cells. Then we have MHC2 that are expressed on antigen presenting cells like macrophages and dendritic cells. So self and non-self, how is it done? This is a natural killer cell. It's supposed to kill any cell that comes along with it. This is a normal cell, a healthy cell, and these are the MHC1 that are present, okay, on the surface of that cell. So when this NK cell comes in contact with that, it realizes, oh, okay, it is expressing MHC1, so it must be my own. So it doesn't kill it, it spares it. Natural killer cell ka kaam hai kill karna. It sees that this one does not have MHC1 molecule in it, and there are virus particles inside of it. Because there are no self MHC molecules, MHC1 molecules in it, it is going to cause the lysis of the cell. Okay, so MHC1 and MHC2 are responsible for, we'll go further into that, responsible for expressing our proteins on the surface of the cell so that the NK cells and the other cells will be able to recognize them and not kill them, or kill them if it is not there. You can have this will be shared in the group, so don't worry, the whole PPT if you want. This is another way to explain it. Over here you see this is the MHC class 1 and class 2. Class 1 में क्या होता है? This is a cytocellular protein, this is the cell, okay? This is the whole inside of the cell, this is outside of the cell, these are the cell membrane. So MHC class 1 molecules, they will present the peptides or the proteins of within the inside of the cell onto the surface over here. So whenever an NK cell or any other cell, macrophages, they come, they want to kill that cell, it will see that the MHC proteins are representing its own protein on the surface, so it will not kill them, okay, spare them. These are the MHC protein. They combine, these peptides will combine with the MHC protein and get expressed on the surface like so. On the other hand, MHC2 molecules are responsible for extracellular pathogens. So वो क्या करेगा? Inside of the cell का protein it will not show. It will only show the protein. It will capture from outside, like the particles of, let's say, virus or the or bacteria. So these proteins will be captured and then processed. MHC2 molecule will get attached to these proteins and then expressed outside along with the outside protein, not the inside protein. So MHC, then the natural killer cells, macrophages will come and then recognize that, okay, just expressing a protein on the outside, but this is not my protein. So they will kill them. This is the basic function of MHC1 and 2. Okay, although APC or the antigen presenting cells work, but MHC2 will be, they work together with the MHC molecules. They cannot work alone. Okay, both of these things will process the things together and present it to T cells or the NK cells, and then the T cells will kill them. These are the basic cells of the immune system. We were talking about T cell, B cell, natural killer cells, monocytes, macrophages, neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, mast cells, and dendritic cells. So mast cells are also responsible for immune system. They will break down, they cause their own lysis, they die, and they release a lot of granules that causes a reaction to kill the microorganism. These are some of their functions. So neutrophils, you see that the first responders. Wherever there's an injury, neutrophils will go there. Wherever there's an infection, neutrophils will go there. That's why whenever a person has acute injury, acute infection, like fever or malaria, whatever, acute infection is there, you will check their peripheral blood smear. If you see the slice, you will see that there is increased peripheral blood smear plus CBC. If you do complete blood count, you will see the neutrophils are high. Why? Because they are the ones that are the first defense mechanism. They'll go and gather together. So you will see in a particular smear, there will be a lot of neutrophils. So neutrophilia will be there, increased number of neutrophils. They kill the bacteria as well. Macrophages will be doing phagocytosis, the killing of the cells. They also act as antigen presenting cells. Dendritic cells, same thing. Natural killer cells, mostly natural killer cells kill the tumor cells and the virus infected cells. Eosinophils are responsible for allergy. Whenever you have allergy, you will see if there's itching or whatever. If you see your blood count, you will see that the number of eosinophils have increased. Basophils and mast cells, they release histamine. If you remember histamine is an amide of which amino acid? Histidine. Yeah, histamine is an amide of histidine. So this is what I was talking about. Histamine is involved in allergic reaction. Whenever there is an allergy or inflammation, histamine is released. Whenever there is swelling, itchiness, everything, histamine is released, and that causes itchiness. But it also kills the parasite along with it. This is the general principle of an immune response, how our immune response basically, immune system basically works. Okay, so this is very basic. So over here you have a pathogen, a virus, a bacteria, or a virus particle, or an antigen, whatever. This is a macrophage. It is supposed to engulf the whatever parasite is there. So this is first scenario. This macrophage is engulfing it. Recognize that, okay, this is an outside cell, I'm going to engulf it. So it ate it. And then this will be processed inside of the macrophages into various components. These components will be, macrophage, remember, is an antigen presenting cell. So it will present the cells to the T cells. Okay, so it will go to the lymphocytes. So they will come together. This interaction will cause the activation of lymphocytes. And one of their lymphocytes is T lymphocytes, which is directly responsible for killing the cells. उसको बस मानना होता है. It remembers कि इस macrophage के अंदर there is something that I do not know. There is something that should not be there. It kills the macrophages. Okay, so macrophage dies. Next thing we have B lymphocytes. So B lymphocytes also recognizes that there are certain bacteria or virus in the circulation. So B lymphocyte will get activated, it will start proliferating, which means it increases in number. Increases in number produces plasma cells, and plasma cells are the ones responsible for making antibodies. Remember antigen and antibody, I'm sure from COVID times. Antibody will be released against specific antigen, इसके लिए अलग से antibody बनेगा. There will be different parasite, there will be different antibody against it. So all these Y-shaped things, these are antibodies. We will learn about it in the next class. These are antibodies or immunoglobulins that will be produced against these viruses. Let's say they are viruses. So it will get attached to them and they will form antigen-antibody complex that will be recognized by the another macrophage, and it will eat it and it will die. Anyway, it will kill the cells. Okay, so one thing to remember here is that these plasma cells, these are green in color, these are purple in color. Although same plasma cells, these are called memory cells. B lymphocytes will do two things. It will produce antibodies and it will also produce memory cells. Memory cells meaning these people, though they fight these plasma cells, they have fought against this particular antigen. Now if the same antigen comes again, these will be the ones fighting. So according to this reaction, they generate more cells which are the memory cells. They will not fight right now, but for the next time when it comes, these memory cells will remain and they will be the one fighting the next fight. They will be the army. And this is why we give vaccines as well. In vaccines you have live cells, live attenuated bacteria or viruses in them. Then mRNA, DNA vaccines are there. All of those will be given in low doses that will not cause much reaction. But the next time you actually get, what happens is that because of that vaccine, your body will produce antibodies against it. This is their mechanism, right? And then, so that these antibodies are produced and then memory cells are produced. So the next time you get, let's say, a measles virus, infected with measles virus, there will be more antibodies to take care of those measles virus and you will not hopefully get a very big disease out of it. So, to summarize, we understand that whenever a pathogen enters, it is detected first by the innate immunity. Then antigen processing and presentation is done by the APCs. T cells then get activated, kills the cell. Then B cell gets activated and produces antibodies. All of these processes together causes the elimination of the pathogen and memory cell formation. So this was your class. I hope you got at least the basics of immunity. In the next class, we will read about immunoglobulin, what these antibodies are and the shape that they are in. That will be important for you because it comes in exams. Okay.